The car was still smoking from the impact when I adjusted my tie. "Get out! We're taking the CEO!" they shouted, rifles raised, faces hidden behind cheap masks. My employer froze, his mouth open but no sound leaving it. A powerful man on paper, useless in reality. One of the attackers laughed. "Your driver can't help you." I looked at my employer, calm, deliberate. "Sir," I said, "please remain seated. Buckle your seatbelt." I let the pause hang in the air, long enough for the men outside to hear. "I'll kill them." They smirked at bravado they thought was empty. They didn't know my hands had once held the walls of the Iranian embassy as I stormed through smoke and blood. They didn't know I had traded shadows of war for leather seats and silent service. They didn't know I had been counting the betrayals I had tolerated in this quiet life, and that was the last one. I left the SAS because I thought I'd had enough of lies, of governments that demanded obedience while offering none in return. The chauffeur's life was supposed to be clean, orderly, predictable. But betrayal has a way of finding me. When the attack was over, the CEO was alive, unscathed, shaking in his suit. The men who tried to take him were broken in ways they couldn't recover from. Not all of them breathed when it ended. The police arrived, slow and cautious. Too slow, too cautious. Later that night, in the stillness of his penthouse, the CEO poured himself a drink with trembling hands. He looked at me as though I were a monster chained to his service. And that's when I saw it, the flicker in his eyes. Not gratitude, not relief. Fear and guilt. That was the seed. Something about the attack hadn't been random. The way they shouted his name, the precision of their hit, it felt rehearsed, coordinated. I began to suspect what he had done and who he had betrayed. I didn't ask questions. Men like him never answer truthfully. Instead, I began to observe, quietly. Phone calls made late at night, a burner phone hidden beneath the driver's seat as though he thought I wouldn't notice. Documents left half-shredded in his office. I pieced them together in silence. Names, bank accounts, meetings with men whose hands were stained with the kind of blood even I had never shed. Every day I opened his door, carried his briefcase, stood by his side like the obedient servant he wanted the world to see. And every night I cataloged his sins. I ordered DNA tests on envelopes he discarded. They told me things he would never confess. Children outside his marriage, a mistress funded through corporate accounts, lies stacked like fragile towers he thought no one would touch. But the deepest cut wasn't his deceit of his wife or shareholders. It was that he sold information. Information that had put my team, the only brothers I ever trusted, in the crosshairs of men who should never have known their names. The embassy may have been decades ago, but betrayal is timeless. The file arrived thick with evidence, bank transfers, voice recordings, photographs. Every piece fit too neatly to be coincidence. I slid it across his desk one morning. He looked at it as though it were a bomb. In a way, it was. "Open it," I said. His fingers trembled as he flipped through. Each page drained him. His shoulders slumped. His lips parted, but no words came. Finally, he looked at me, eyes wet, face pale. How did you—" I didn't answer. I didn't need to. I watched him realize that the mask he wore was ash now, his empire brittle and crumbling. And I stayed silent. I didn't threaten him. That would have given him power. Instead, I made a single call. To his board, to his wife, to the contacts whose names appeared in the file. I didn't shout. I didn't accuse. I simply handed them the truth. By nightfall, he was stripped of everything he had wrapped around himself. Wealth, status, family, legacy. I stood at his side as his world burned, calm, detached. He begged me for mercy, not for his life, but for silence. I gave him neither. The next morning, I drove the car alone. His seat was empty. The city moved as if nothing had happened, as if no empire had just collapsed into dust. For the first time in years, I felt no weight on my chest, no chains. I had left the service to escape blood. I thought I wanted peace. But what I wanted was clarity, and I had it now. He had betrayed everyone who trusted him. I betrayed only him. The difference mattered. As I tightened my tie in the mirror, I realized something else. This quiet life had been a disguise. But beneath it, I was still the man who stormed embassies, the man who lived in shadows, the man who could wait decades to settle a score. And I would wait again if I had to. Because betrayal doesn't die, it waits. And so do I. Peace was never the absence of violence. It was the precision of knowing exactly who deserves it.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. Subscribe now to Cheating Stories Insight World for more amazing stories.